Everyone. I am going to do my morning update. I am going to include Bitcoin and the altcoins that were in a trade all in one video just because there's not too much information that we haven't already covered. So I figured we'll do everything in one video. It is Tuesday, September 18th. So let's get started. We have Bitcoin at $6,348, about $100 up for my initial entry into Bitcoin yesterday morning. So it's been already 24 hours. It's been moving a little slower than I anticipated, but this is a bear market. So, we just have to kind of put up with it, but everything still looks in order from what I thought it would be. So I'm still in all of my trades. There's really not much difference of what I thought might be happening. I knew we would probably go right back up. I was really confident, so that's why I entered the trade here. I wasn't too worried about the FUD, the tether, all that stuff. You hear that stuff all the time. You get used to just drowning it out. All that is just BS to me. I don't pay much attention to it anymore. I am anticipating Bitcoin to continue to make a climb higher. I think the 200 EMA is going to be where she's going to have a lot of trouble crossing and getting above. And if she does, I don't anticipate too much more movement above the 200 EMA. As you can see, if you look to the left, we've had the same issue. Once she gets above the 200 EMA, she hasn't gone much further above that. So I do anticipate something close in scenario to this. Now, keep in mind that as this 200 EMA drops, the top of the 200 EMA is going to be still a little bit below the price action that we had a couple of 2-3 days ago. So, but nevertheless, I do anticipate a climb above the 200 EMA. Right now, she's doing really good. She's above the 9 EMA. What I foresee was going to happen here based on just my TA is this. Let me draw it off for you guys here so you guys have it in here on the video. This is going to do a bull flags like this. This is going to do one of these movements right here. So today we're going to come down and this EMA is going to wind up starting to come up a little bit. It's going to start curving like this. This price action is going to play right in here before we break out again. And what this is going to do is that this is going to allow the indicators to cool off. It's going to allow Bitcoin to cool off, and it's also going to allow this 200 EMA to come down probably to about this level right here. Let me draw it out just in advance so you guys can see how TA works and how close these patterns come about. Even before they happen, I can already anticipate what's going to happen. So we're going to see the 200 EMA hit around this level here, somewhere in this zone, and then we're going to see the price of Bitcoin do one of these numbers. Give me 1 second. Let me put the thing right here. So we're going to see something like this. So we're probably going to see the price action come down. It's going to touch the 9 EMA. It's going to find some support and maybe somewhere like not this one here. Somewhere like this. Let me move this out of the way here. Let me grab onto this line. Let me do one of these numbers. They're probably going to do something like this. And then right around this area here, it's going to jump up. And what this is going to do, it's going to allow the price action to break through that 200 EMA. When the 200 EMA is too far up and you're climbing and you're going to reach it, you are never going to break that 200 EMA. It's very, very hard. But if you stop and you consolidate and you cool off in a bear flag formation like this, it's going to recoil. Remember, I was bringing the analogy of a spring. So imagine it's gonna push it down, push that coil down, allow this to get a little bit closer. So when it hits it, it might pull back just a little bit, but it will have still enough coil to break out of it and then come back and retest it and hopefully stay above that 50 EMA. So this is what I see for today's movement. Not much is going to happen. When this comes down, it's going to test our entry levels in our alts. Probably get really close to our entry levels. I'm still not getting out of our alts. I feel like we're going to be able to at least get a good 5 to 8% out of the alts when it's all said and done. So I'm going to stick around with my active trades. So let's look at ONT as one of our trades here. Let me maximize this, and I'll kind of tell you what's going on with all of these lines here. It might look a little confusing. These purple lines, the existing members should already know. These are my gap lines. For all you new members, you guys follow me on Twitter, so you know how much I trade off gaps. So these are the gaps on the 1 hour time frame. These gaps work up they're just as powerful on the way up as they are on the way down. So these are all gaps that were created on the way down. So I knew that these would start coming up and filling these gaps on the way up as well. We've already filled this gap, and this gap on the way up. So it's called a gap up versus a gap down. So what I'm anticipating right now is this here is going to stay on the 50 EMA. It's going to rest here between the 9 and the 50 EMA. There goes one of my alerts. So that's exactly what I wanted it to happen. I wanted it to alert me when it hits the 50 EMA. That's exactly what it did. And the reason for that is because I know that this is a very strong EMA and I want to do a back test on it. So right now it's actually forming a really nice flag, very similar to what I am anticipating for Bitcoin. So let me draw out that flag right here. It's going to be something like this. And I'm going to want it to stay here. And then once it stays here, it's going to have enough energy and enough cooling down that it's going to come up and finally break through the 100 EMA. You see how many times it's touched it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and it still can't break it. So at this point, the price action is exhausted. It needs to come down. It needs to cool off. And this formation is a very typical formation that you get when Bitcoin is cooling off or when an altcoin is cooling off. It creates a flag pattern, allows the indicators to reset, and allows a price action to get a nice momentum back to the upside. So what's going to wind up happening after this formation is complete, we're going to see the breakout of this flag is gonna allow the price action to finally break out of this 100 EMA and reach the 200 before it gets smacked down again, and then we'll see how much thrust it has left over. It might come back down and back test the 100 EMA. So this is going to be a very slow process back up to the to around this level here, my green line that I'm hoping that we can get back up to as far as ROI to get out of the trade. And if we get to that level, the trade should be at about 5%, 6%. Let me chalk it out here and see. Yeah, about 575. So that's kind of what I'm anticipating for my return on investment on the trades that I went in over about 24 hours ago. So that's ONT. Let's look at NEO. NEO is one that's, I've been calling it. I've been using this as an instructional tutorial for you guys. I've been posting in the chart updates, step-by-step play, so that you guys can understand how the EMAs work and how they affect it and how they are affected by the price action every single time and it hits a certain EMA. So I've been doing that more for educational purposes so you guys can kind of see. Remember what I said yesterday in the chat. I want you guys to learn one indicator. EMAs are one indicator. So once you guys master the EMAs, you guys can then start on the RSI or start on the MACD or whatever indicator you choose to use. But for now, I really would like you guys to stick to my system until you master it, and then you can break out and branch out into your own system and find something that works for you guys. So right now, we're doing exactly what I want ONT to do. It broke out of the 50. It came back, it back tested it, it broke out again, it came back and it back tested again. This is what I need for the price action to do. So when it picks up, it's going to break through the 100 EMA and do the exact same pattern here on top of the 100 EMA. And it needs to do this on the 100 EMA in order to break through the 200 EMA. We all talk about, you guys heard me you guys hear me talk about the 200 EMA all the time because it's a very, very powerful EMA to break out of, especially in the 1 hour time frame. And the higher the time frame, the more difficult it is to break out of this 200 EMA. So my goal for NEO is right here at the red line. Now, yesterday when we were on the video, just so you guys know, this was my entry into NEO yesterday, 24 hours ago, this tan line. Now, we came all the way down here. It still was maybe 1% away from my entry, no big deal, 1.5% maybe at the most. I think it was 1.4% at the most. But someone had asked me, hey, is it a good time to go in? And I told them, no, not yet. Remember, these EMAs move as a price action move. So when I added more I added more NEO on this tan line because this tan line at the time, the EMA was down here and the price action finally broke through. We had all these attempts to break through the EMA and it couldn't do it. The fact that it broke through showed me that it had a lot of momentum to go, opposed to this. Let me show you the opposite of what happens when it doesn't have enough momentum. You see here how it hits, and it failed, It did the opposite here. So it hit, and it broke through. That gave me the confidence to put another $50,000 on NEO, which is that screenshot that I showed you guys, and I posted on the Discord channel there. So I just want you to guys know, and that's the reason I went in. It had an opposite. I had an opposite effect that ONT had. So let's just recap real quick. So we hit the 100 EMA, it got exhausted and it broke down. The opposite happened with NEO. It kept on hitting this 9 EMA, and it was able to break through. When it broke through, it gave me the confidence to go ahead and add to my position, and that's what I did. And as you can see here, everything's working just the way I want to. It is working a little bit slower than I anticipated. Normally, for the new members in this group, we typically keep a trade open for about 24 hours. This one's moving a little bit slower. I anticipate we're going to keep this trade for about another 12 to maybe 15 hours longer. And then I will reevaluate at that point if we're going to take our profits or if we're going to continue with this momentum going up. I do see this movement a lot happen, and I hate using the term as most of you guys know it, but this looks like a reverse Bart Simpson. So I think this is gonna wind up playing out here. I don't have another term for this, so because everybody's so familiar with what Bart Simpson is on Twitter, I'm going to go ahead and start using that term as much as I hate using it. But I think this is what's going to happen. And these types of patterns, you guys are going to start learning how to recognize these. These patterns here, once you recognize these patterns, it'll give you the confidence that you're going to need to continue into a trade or to get into a trade and not get out of a trade too soon. Those that got out of the trade yesterday too soon, that's okay, no problem. This is a learning experience. We're here to learn. We're here to figure out why we got out of the trade, why I stayed in the trade, and I'm going to go over it. I'm going to go over those signals and the reasons why on these update videos so that in the next trade, you guys can go back to these videos, listen to them, and then see how it's playing out in the current trade the next time we go into a trade. So it's really important that you guys go back to these videos, keep on going back, even though the price action doesn't relate to the current price, it doesn't matter. You want to look at the way the price action works in conjunction with these EMAs, and that's the lesson that you're going to be learning here. Learning how this price action works and how it goes up and how it breaks through, it comes back, it retests, it hits the next one. That's the type of movement that I want you to see, that you can see in all of my past videos. I talk about the exact same thing, and because I want to make sure that you guys is ingrained in your brain these types of price actions, so you can literally be able to glance at a chart and know right away what's going on. Let's go to our next one. Our last one here is going to be ICX. ICX, basically the same thing. We had a breakout of the EMA. It came back. It finally broke out of the 50 EMA, but this one had enough thrust to close above the 100 EMA on the 30-minute time frame, and it's been flirting with this 100 EMA, and it finally came down to my favorite EMA of them all, the 9 EMA, and it's resting on there in support. This is my entry, so I am, it took me a while to get back above my entry point, but like I said yesterday, I'm not worried about it. We talked about it in the chat. Once you have a trading plan and you then execute the plan that you had in motion, now you just have to let the TA do the rest. You had the plan, you did your homework, you executed your plan. Now it's time. The hard part's over. Now the easy part is taking profit. That is going to come sooner or later, whether it's 24 hours or 48 hours. We just have to trust in the TA that we did. Now, sometimes it doesn't work out, but more times than not, it does work out. And that's because I don't overtrade. If I traded every single day, my ratio would be 50% or less. So you got to keep that in mind, guys. Think about that. If I'm trading every single day, my ratio is going to be 50% or less, because not every day we have setups. But if we wait for the right time and we do our TA, we do our homework, and we have a trading plan, and when we finally execute that plan, then you should have a much greater ratio, because you're not forcing trades. You're actually doing your homework and you're waiting for the right opportunity and the right time to go into a trade. And that's the kind of mentality I want you guys to start having as traders. We have plenty of time time before the bull run starts, but I don't want you guys to feel like you guys can give it a little bit more time before you take this seriously. I want you guys to take it seriously right now. I want you to watch all my videos. I want you to do your homework. I want you to study. I want you to ask questions. Whatever you don't understand, hit me up, let me know. So on my next video, I can go over it on the update video so that not only you, but everybody else benefits from it. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and end it for now. And we will have a group chat in just a little while. I'm just right now doing some things around the house. My wife's got me hanging some pictures and some furniture that we bought. So for right now, I will be away from the computer for just a bit. I have my alert set. I'm all ready to go in case something happens or shifts in the market. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we will chat a little later. If you guys have any questions, if you don't mind, just save them for the group chat. If you're not going to be around for the group chat in a couple of hours, go ahead and just send me a DM, and I will write those questions down and I will try to address them. And then when you guys come back to your computer, remember that Mr. Mo set up a bot that records all of our group chats, so you can always go back and listen, so this way you don't feel like you missed out on the group conversation. All right, guys, you guys have a wonderful day. I'm really excited. Everything's looking exactly the way I anticipated. I am not nervous about anything. I'm feeling really good about my trades, and I feel we're going to make some really nice profit when these trades are finally over. Thank you, guys.